I have the honor to present our last witness for the prosecution, Your Honor. And she is Ms. Julie De Lima. She is the chairperson of the National Democratic Front of the Philippines Peace Negotiating Panel. And she will speak on the impact of IHL violations on the National Liberation Movement. She will also respond to the questions propounded by the jurors earlier this morning.
Distinguished jurors, prosecutors, witness, a friend of the court, witnesses, staffers, and ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking on the impact of the GRP-IHL violations on the National Liberation Movement in the Philippines. The revolutionary struggle being waged by the National Democratic Front of the Philippines is a continuation of the Philippine Revolution of 1896 against Spanish colonialism and later against U.S. colonialism and later on imperialism. The People's War being waged is for national liberation and democracy against the semi-feudal and semi-colonial ruling system. The government of the Republic of the Philippines is a puppet government of the U.S., continues to perpetuate foreign interests through domestic oppressors, the local compradors and landlords. Since the establishment of the Communist Party of the Philippines in December 1968, two governments have started to exist in the Philippines. One is the US-controlled Manila government, and the other, the government of the working class and the peasantry. The establishment of the New People's Army in March 1969 signaled the beginning of a protracted people's war against the government of the Republic of the Philippines as a semi-colonial and semi-feudal ruling system. Since then, the NDFP, representing the revolutionary forces and the people, have acquired the status of belligerency over the years through revolutionary armed struggle. The revolutionary forces include the organs of democratic power established under the Guide for Establishing the People's Democratic Government, the Communist Party as the leading party of and the political authority, the New People's Army as the disciplined nationwide fighting force having a responsible political command, and the mass organizations and alliances within the National Democratic Front of the Philippines. The ongoing armed conflict in our country has reached such intensity and scope in terms of the frequency and regularity of the armed clashes, the number of armed forces involved, the systematic and orchestrated abuses and atrocities by the reactionary state on both civilians and combatants, as to make the application of the rules of war imperative. The NDFP has committed its willingness, readiness, and ability to assume and undertake its distinct duties and responsibilities in adhering, respecting, and being bound by international humanitarian law by issuing a declaration of adherence to Common Article 3 and Protocol 2 of the Geneva Conventions on August 15, 1991. Furthermore, on July 5, 1996, it issued a declaration of undertaking to apply the Geneva Conventions of 1949 and Protocol 1 of 1977. In the course of almost 4 decades of peace negotiations with the government of the Republic of the Philippines, the National Democratic Front of the Philippines has signed a bilateral agreement to respect human rights and international humanitarian law during the armed conflict. The Comprehensive Agreement on Respect for Human Rights and International Humanitarian Law, or CARIL, of March 16, 1998, adopted the principles and standards of IHL and even incorporated the provisions of the Geneva Conventions and the protocols additional thereto to the Convention Against Torture and other UN instruments to the concrete situation and conditions in the Philippines. As a matter of fact, the New People's Army has since its founding institutionalized and adheres to the well-established basic rules and discipline, which subjects all fighters to the 3 main rules of discipline and the 8 points of attention, which includes, among others, the protection of civilians, as well as the humane treatment of prisoners of war. The NPA follows the memorandum on the minimum age requirement for NPA fighters, which was issued by the Communist Party of the Philippines on October 15, 1999. There are even rules on the investigation and prosecution of suspected enemy spies, which was approved by the Communist Party of the Philippines in December 1989, as well as guidelines on the allowable use of command-detonated anti-personnel landmines and the treatment of prisoners of war. The different counterinsurgency programs implemented by every GRP administration are all aimed to neutralize and eventually crush the revolutionary movement, development, support, and security plan o Plan Kapayapaan through the implementation of the Community Support Program failed to achieve this in 2017. Earlier, Oplan Bayanihan, which began in 2010, also failed. In 2018, the whole-of-nation approach was institutionalized with the signing of Executive Order Number 70. This joint AFP, Philippine National Police Counterinsurgency Program, now goes on by the name Oplan Kapanatagan. The GRP's counterinsurgency programs remain subservient to U.S. dictates. The persistent foreign domination and national oppression are carried out through the GRP's puppetry and under unequal agreements with the United States. There are overt and covert U.S. military intervention and U.S. military supplies and training provided to the GRP. In the guise of winning the hearts and minds of the people by addressing peace and security concerns and providing livelihood and development programs under the Barangay Development Program, these counterinsurgency programs in reality lay the same contempt for human rights and universally accepted rules of war. All these counterinsurgency programs do not distinguish between combatants and civilians. Employing the military strategy of draining the water to expose the fish, water referring to the civilian population, and fish, the revolutionaries. The GRP's Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Philippine National Police, its paramilitary units, among others, have committed grave violations of human rights and international humanitarian law, mostly against civilians. The forcible use of civilian communities to military operations and the treatment of civilian populations perceived or suspected to be sympathetic or supportive of the revolutionary movement as objects of attack, the forcible evacuation or forcible reconcentration of civilians, the use of civilians as guides and or human shields in military operations are well documented. Red tagging or terrorist tagging, which by itself is a vicious form of attack of activists and organizations labeled as so-called fronts of the CPP, NPA, NDF, designating them as terrorists by using the Weaponized Anti-Terrorism Act, and presenting surrenderers have intensified nationwide. The GRP has violated the rights of the CPP and the NDFP members performing non-combatant functions, and NPA combatants surrendered off to combat. NDFP's consultants have been arrested on trumped-up terrorism or criminal charges, disappeared or killed. The details of the gruesome killings of peace consultants Randall Echanis has been narrated yesterday. Randall is just one of the many. CPP leaders and peace negotiators Benito Tiamson and Wilma Austria Tiamson, together with 8 other revolutionaries belonging to the guerrilla force of the central headquarters, were captured by the AFP in August 2022 in Samar, in the Visayas, while traveling aboard 2 vans en route to a nearby coast. They were flagged down by the GRP armed forces at noon, after which all communications with the group were lost. They were unarmed. The 10 were subjected to severe beatings and other forms of torture before they were subsequently murdered. In the early morning hours of the following day, their lifeless bodies were dumped with explosives on a motorboat which was towed to the middle of the sea before being detonated somewhere between 2 islands in order to obliterate the traces of evidence of the monstrous crime inflicted on them. The CPP disputed the GRP's version that the Tiamsons and their other companions were killed in a mid-sea firefight and explosion. The murder of the Tiamsons follows the pattern of the willful killings perpetrated by the AFP against captured revolutionaries. Kerima Lorena Tariban Acosta, one of 2 slain members of the NPA in Silay, Negros Occidental, Visayas, in August 2021, was captured alive by soldiers. According to a witness, Kerima only had gunshot wounds on her fingers, but apparently the military decided to finish her off or left her to bleed to death. Erickson Acosta, Kerima's husband, an NDFP resource person on social and economic reforms, together with civilian Joseph Jimenez, were accosted by armed soldiers at dawn in November 2022 while resting in a peasant home in Negros Occidental, Visayas. They were subsequently summarily executed, suffering from stab and knife wounds indicating they were hacked. Both were unarmed. There was no unit of the NPA in the area, contrary to the AFP's claim of an armed encounter. The murder of Acosta and Jimenez is consistent with the pattern of crimes perpetrated by the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police in willfully killing while in custody of members of the CPP, NPA, and NDFP, as well as civilians who were with them at the time of their capture or arrest. According to a special report released by Ang Bayan, the CPP's official publication, more than 100 unarmed revolutionaries or the combat and civilians have been killed in the campaign of murder by the GRP forces in violation of international humanitarian law. The report covers the period 2017 to 2022. To name a few, George Madlos, alias Kaoris, 2021, his son Vincent, and daughter-in-law, Glorivic Campos Belandres, Jojo Siron, 2020, Eugenia Magpantay and Agatson Tupacio, 2020, Antonio Cabanatan and Florenda Yap, 2020, and Juanito Magbanua, 2022. All these despicable violations of the basic and decent rules of war happen in the midst of the well-documented horrendous atrocities and different forms of systematic violations by GRP forces, aided and abetted by the U.S. government in many ways against civilians and civilian communities, which the experts, resource persons, and witnesses have already amplified before this tribunal. This initiative of holding an independent people's tribunal as a war crime tribunal is a most welcome endeavor. Like the victims and their families and friends, we look for alternative ways and means of seeking justice for the victims of human rights and international humanitarian law violations. The NDFP has shown its consistent and long-standing cognizance of the declaration it has issued and agreements it has signed. It is a national liberation movement that truly respects human rights and international humanitarian law. In its campaign to misrepresent and demonize the revolutionary movement as terrorists, the US and the GRP both aim to intimidate and pressure the NDFP to capitulate one way or the other. Against these, the NDFP asserts its status of belligerency, which it has established from decades-long revolutionary armed struggle. The NDFP will always defend and fight for the rights of the exploited and toiling Filipino masses in their struggle for national and social liberation, and will seek justice everywhere and anywhere. The NDFP and the Filipino people continue to fight a just war in a just way. Thank you.